Welcome to another season of Conversations with Gentle Warriors. This is season 5. My name is Bhavana Issar, and I'm the founder and CEO of Caregiver Saathi. In this season, we continue to shine the light on what we now call the invisible backbone of our society. Family caregivers. Often, our strength as caregivers goes unseen. Yet it forms the foundation of the well being for our loved ones and even communities. Through these conversations, we explore stories of courage, resilience, and quiet compassion. We'll hear about the challenges caregivers face, the systemic gaps that need attention, and the extraordinary ways in which caregiving shapes not just families, but workplaces and society. Gentle Warriors is not just about telling stories, it is about recognizing caregiving as an act of profound strength and about sparking reflection, dialogue, and change. Care is at the very core of our being. Join us as we celebrate these unseen, unheard, invisible heroes and uncover what it truly means to be a gentle warrior. Greetings of the day and welcome to yet another conversation with Gentle Warriors. You know that this platform by Caregiver Saathi is an attempt for us to bring in as many of us who have had an experience in caregiving and have been caregivers, whether or not we call ourselves caregivers. But at Caregiver Saathi, we see people who are caregivers as gentle warriors. Many people ask me why warriors and why not healers. Often I say, well, you know, the world is a war and there are many war-like metaphors. So saying warriors was a way of acknowledging and meeting people where they are. But I do think there is this whole adjective of being gentle while at war. And that's what makes it oxymoronic at one level and intriguing at another. So here's another conversation with a gentle warrior, someone who has been a friend for many years, someone who I enjoy having a conversation with. Our relationship has evolved over time. And I am really looking forward to this conversation because the purpose of a conversation with a gentle warrior is to see caregiving in its wholesomeness, to be able to relate with it, to be able to acknowledge that it is a part of our lives, and yet, there is skill, there is merit, and that it is something that we need to be able to see. So, welcome, Sudha. I am so glad that you are a part of this conversation. I would like for you to tell us who you are as you sit here today.
Thank you, Bhavna. And as you were sharing and I was listening to it, my life just flashed by of a gentle warrior and the word warrior. I so resonate with that word as a warrior. And I've seen that definition change in my life from the time I was 9 years old. Because that was the first time I think I confronted with what does caregiving really mean. I lost my father at that point in time. And unknowingly as a child, having to see the grief of my mother and my grandmother and around, as a child, I took up the ownership of taking care because I could see my family disintegrating and all of that. And I think the seeds of being a caregiver was sown in at that very young age for me. I grew up too fast, too soon for my, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know. And then I saw that role became a very integral part of me, where taking care just seemed as a very
Mm,
unconscious, natural process like my breath. Whether it's in an
mm,
organization, whether it is at home with extended family or organizing things, ended up becoming a human resource professional, which is in a way, caregiving is a part of it. Like you take care of not just the people whom you welcome, how you welcome them, how do you stay them, the organization so that it flourishes. Till I think in 2015, a deciding point came in my life where I think it changed completely for me. I quit my corporate career, went on to understanding a lot of different aspects of my life because I think my physical health took quite a bit of a beating. Went on to doing a lot of inner work where for me, exploring this dynamics of being a caregiver became an integral part of my growth.
mhm,
And for that next, which was, let's say now another 15 years forward, I've been a caretaker for my mom who's had a lot of physical challenges
mm,
and health challenges mostly. And I've ended up being the caretaker primarily because I'm single, not
mm,
married and all of that. Um, so if I were to look at that, for me, it's an oxymoron where I've learned to be a warrior with a sword in my hand, willing to fight battles and happy to see blood and everything, all of that.
mm,
Versus gentleness was never a vocabulary of that. It was fierce, it was
mm,
taking charge, it was taking control, it was having to get it right. There was no rest, there was no relaxation, all of that. Today, when I look at the caregiving role, I'm listening to that journey very differently. I see boundaries, I see roles, I see me in that situation as equally important as the person I'm taking care of.
mm,
The inner world definition to caregiver has changed
mm,
uh, from being an empty person, emptying oneself of energy and all of that, and if I can call the prior to now, where I'm looking at I can only nourish and nurture in this role if I'm able to nourish and nurture myself too.
mm,
And that took quite a bit of unlearning
mm,
because I had to not only confront beliefs, concepts, my own tendencies, perceptions, feelings, emotions around this, but also to struggle. How do I define this? How do I navigate this? How do I balance it? How do I harmonize it? When will I know I'm not tipping over into a familiar pattern and the expected role of a caregiver, my own expectation of being a caregiver? And
mhm,
given that it's a very deep-rooted pattern in me, right? It was not something that I was pushed into it. Uh,
mm,
in fact, to confront this question for myself, if I'm not a caregiver,
mm,
then who I am?
mm,
Uh, and for me, that was a very frightening conversation because I kind of now realize my whole life was probably built around that central theme to be a caregiver.
mm,
And, when you talked about unseen, unheard, it was a very familiar theme, right?
mm.
Not that I wanted to be seen or be heard, but a part of me did want that, but I never
Yeah.
ever acknowledged that. I never wanted to listen to it
Mm,
because like you said, it's like, how can I? I'm taking care. That itself is such a noble thing. And this whole narratives that we give about caregiving, right? It's such a
mm,
noble thing. In fact, even today, a lot of people tell me, so that's so great that you're taking care of your
mm,
mom. Not many people get these blessings and opportunity. You are doing a lot of good karma and all of that. And I'm like, wow, that's a very powerful narrative. But I'm
mm.
also wanting to look at the humane narrative part of it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
almost seems like this is a narrative given to you of a nobler thou attitude of a caregiver. Step into
Yeah.
it. But I seem to live my human part, which, hey, she exists too. There
Yeah.
is a body, there is a voice, there is feelings, there is a whole lot of that. That cannot become nobilized through this prompt
Yeah.
of a narrative given. And in that sense, this 1 year of journey has been a lot of that to surface. Um, and I think I've learned humility. Because in this whole
Mm-hmm.
caretaking journey, I realized I am not who I am. I thought years ago, like I could carry my mom, I could do so many things. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of suddenly realized, I don't have that strength as much because I'm also aging, which is
Mm-hmm.
natural. And for me, I think that was a big moment of reckoner to
Mm-hmm.
recognize a reality of what's existing within me and to
Mm-hmm.
work with that rather than becoming a she hero, which is what all
Yeah.
my sporadic events was.
Yeah.
And also to look at the reality of today, not from a reality of the lens and an identity that I built, but to look
Mm.
at, hey, this is not one episodic caregiving event, which was like
Yeah.
us. This
Mm.
is a long term. This
Mm.
is a person who is probably on the last leg of her earthly life in, in and out of hospitals, and where at the physical level there is only degeneration and dissolution happening, which means what needs to be provided for is much more than what was happening before. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it has been growing up too fast, too soon again, but at a very different level. And in
Mm.
that, the gentleness has come in. So,
Mm.
yes, today I can say I'm more a gentle warrior who
Mm.
is willing to put her sword by her side and take it up only when she's wanting. And
Mm.
yeah, in that sense, it's been an unlearning journey. It's been to able to integrate the nobler and the human part of it, the ability to
Mm.
put me into the picture and to feel okay about it, to recognize the boundaries within which I am being imposed on because of my own growing and the boundaries that I
Mm.
need to maintain between me and the system and the people that are involved in it. Um, yeah, thank you for being able to let me articulate this to myself. It just feels nice in that sense
Mm.
that yes, it's a journey and it'll continue to be a journey.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and thank you. Thank you for bringing your vulnerability and talking about this. Um, you know, uh, let's start at the very beginning. Like they say,
Yeah.
I'm just picturing a 9-year-old Sudha uh, trying to make sense of the loss of a parent and suddenly feeling like responsible. But give us a slightly bigger picture in terms of what was the setting? There was your mom, there was your grandmom. Who else was there? And
So
and how did that?
I had an older brother. We were three siblings, and my dad's mom living with us. And
Mm,
mom then became the sole earner of the
mm,
family.
mm,
Um, the change was dad used to take care of our studies, of our needs, and all of that because mom's work was such that she would leave early in the morning and come late in the night, right? And
mm-hmm,
mom, my grandmother would be the caretaker in her absence, taking the role of
mm-hmm,
the mother. So the older brother is older by 6 years, and the younger one younger by 1.5. So we were literally like twins, if you can say, because we shared the same life space and we were in the same grade together.
mm,
Whereas he was stepping into a different milestone. So while we just entered, 10 years, 11th year, he was already passing his 10th grade. So he was at a very
mm,
different milestone than us. Um, and like my dad's mom was with us, had to assume the mental of taking care of these three children in the absence
mm,
of mom, So yeah,
mm,
and we were in Bombay at that point in time, and
mm,
so we suddenly had to grapple with the reality that nobody is going to ask us, have you done your homework? Are you ready for your exams?
mm,
We had to eat when my grandmother said we had to eat, so
mm,
suddenly the life seemed very different.
mm,
All of a sudden it changed.
mm,
Um, and we had to assume responsibility for ourselves, like continue to get the good grades. We were in the top five, but we had to do it by
mm,
ourselves. We had to ensure that our homework was there and never ever to get a remark from our school to say homework not done and all of that.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
continue to keep the standards that dad had inculcated in us of having a good education
mm,
and emotionally, I wouldn't know how to deal with emotions, right? Because there
Mm,
was anger, there was also a sense of loss. There was also a sense of humiliation that as a child I carried of what we were subjected to.
mm,
There was a sense of being treated differently because now from a fathered child, I'm a fatherless child, right?
mm-hmm,
And I couldn't fathom, I still carry my father's name. How am I now a fatherless child? Oh, just the physical absence doesn't make me a fatherless child. To
mm,
going to school functions where you would see every child having at least parents and you wouldn't have there. So you would have to take your own trophies and come back home
mm,
and share it. So yeah,
mm,
so grew up with that to navigate whatever that has to be in the best way that I could. So therefore, growing up too fast too soon became like this. So then, I had to navigate, understand the world in my own ways and means. And fierceness is only thing that I could become, right? I was
mm,
literally a tomboy. I love to play with boys because I found it's a much better world than to be with girls. So yeah, that was my life still
mm,
about
mm,
I decided to take up psychology as a subject.
mm.
Yeah.
How willing are
So
you that
that was
I
the
double
family.
click on some things that I speak about that period? Are you willing that should we go a little deeper? Yeah.
Sure, please.
I was very intrigued by your expression of you felt humiliated.
Yeah. I remember this because, when dad crossed over and his body had to be cremated, uh, I was told I cannot come because I'm a girl child. But for
Mm,
me, I was his child. And
mm,
the second is how at every function and ceremony, I was told I can't be a part. So for me, that sense of I couldn't understand when we are having the same father and the two boys can participate, why am I not allowed to participate? The
mm,
humiliation also came from a point of, how my mother was subjected to a certain line of treatment of because of being a widow, right? Like the way they made her dress up and then removing those flowers and washing off her bindis and telling her to break her bangles uh,
wow.
um, and how
Mm,
she was then made to keep aside and set aside. She was now suddenly very different. She didn't enjoy the same status as a married woman.
mm,
Um, to me, I think it was a part helplessness, but also part humiliation because I couldn't
mm,
understand what I think I took it as what wrong did I do to deserve this treatment, you
mm.
know?
Yeah.
Also, the somewhere I was also, you're a girl child, you're the weaker of the lot, you can't take this. With no explanation offered, right? And there was certain presumption being made about me of what I can do, I cannot do, without even
Mm,
checking with me as his child. And of course, also being I was his favorite child. That is what I remember growing.
mm,
To not be able to be part of anything of that, right? And no
mm,
explanations. This is the way, this is how it's going to be. And even if I was tempted to go, they would say, you can sit over there, but not come over here, right? And
mm,
then you suddenly felt like an outcast. You suddenly felt not a part of, you're suddenly not included. And I think was the sense of shame and that humiliation of, hey, is there something wrong? I didn't choose to be born as a girl, but why is this? And this whole questioning of the traditional system and, when no explanation is offered. I'm
mm,
at a much better phase now, but at that point in time, the only thing that kept coming and throwing back to me was you're a girl child. And
mm,
I got the sense of that being born as a girl child was something wrong. Who didn't, and I didn't see this anything else, but just this is the last time I'm going to see my physical father. This is the last time
mm,
a 9-year-old child wants to hold her father. She's never ever going to have those arms around her as much as she will want to, right?
mm,
Um, and this whole thing about elders and you're too young. You're too young to understand this. Don't ask too many questions, right?
Mm.
It suddenly felt like I had to shut my voice because nobody seemed to have had the time to talk with me, share with me, ask me what's happening to you. Do it because that's the way it is. So for me, I think that's where the anger also came in. I'm like, hey, can you see that this is a child who's just lost a father? Don't look at it as a girl child or a boy child and
Mm.
rights to do and no rights to do. So I guess that was the environment where instructions came in, information came in, but there was no dialoguing. There was no taking in. There was no sitting with you and making you understand that this is a child who's lost a father. She's going through a lot. Can she be met as a child who's lost and help her to understand that world within her and what it means rather than figure the world. This is the world we are telling you of which you can be part only this way and you can't be a part, which was a large part. And a
Mm.
10-year-old child, what can she figure when there
Yeah.
is no dialogue? So she will interpret things
Yeah.
whatever in that world seems like, right? Yeah, so for me, yeah, that was what I can remember as, so that shame, that humiliation, guilt, which then got converted into anger. And I said, I get to hoots now, nobody tells me what
Yeah.
to do, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Uh, and somewhere to challenge authority just because you say so doesn't become my world, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're given another set of labels. Oh, she's always like this. She's aggressive. She's this, that. But I
Yeah.
took pride in those labels because at that
Yeah.
point in time, nobody can now tell me what to do. I
Yeah.
already have this label. So it is really fun to build
Yeah.
this label, right? So minute if something comes in, oh, Sudha, right? Expect her to do this. She will not toe the line. She is like that.
Mm.
Nobody saw what's the reason Sudha became like that. Nobody
Yeah.
saw that there is still that little Sudha who wants warmth, and all that she wants is a love and to say, it's okay. We understand your pain. We understand what you're going through. That
Mm.
became then smaller, 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 and this persona grew. And that's why I said, so for me, then becoming a warrior and just challenging and, if people said Rani ki Jhansi, I said, oh, yes, tell me what you
Mm.
want me to do. So it was more, to
Mm.
play that role to the full hilt and enjoy it, but not seeing that there
Mm.
was the pain of it as well, because it only
Yeah.
took me far from who I thought I was, but was forced to say, this is a world that nobody wants. This Sudha nobody wants to see. And in fact, if I would cry, I remember, when I would cry, people would say, Sudha, you crying? What is this? Can't be. You're such a strong person. So I was not even allowed to shed tears because I lost my grandmother and then in 1992, and I
Mm.
became a major caretaker at that point in time.
Mm.
I missed her because our roles changed and I cried and people said, come on, Sudha, you and crying? Or any time I would cry, not just necessarily around death. So tears
Mm.
were a no-no for me,
Mm.
because people saw me strong. So that was another part of me that said, okay, shut it down, keep it quiet.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's been the journey.
Mm. So, what would you like to tell that 9-year-old Sudha today?
She's not alone. I see her, she can cry, she has all my love. I bring her close to me. Apologize that that was the world she grew up with, and
Mm.
that she had to figure it out in her head what is the world she had to be, and that the world is not really that bad. Uh,
Mm.
and she has a friend in me now, and she has friends, just not me, but she can choose friends. And I also let her that tell her that, you want to navigate the world, navigate, but take care of yourself too.
Mm.
Uh, Putting out a claim out there to say you take care of me, and when people don't
Mm.
do that, you have all the resources to take care of yourself. So it's okay for you to shut the world out and to say, I don't want to be there today for you, but I just want to be there for myself, whatever
Yeah.
that may be. And that's how. for me, my painting, writing of poetry, the creative part came about because she was quite creative. Uh,
Mm,
and I remember she grew up music, and the world of colors was her go-to, because that was the world when she could just pour out everything that could come in and communicate. And today I understand, because it's such an integral part of my life, and it's my go-to when I want to just, it's meditative and all, because today, of course, I've grown. Uh, she has permission to play, and I play quite a bit. Um,
mm,
she has permission to express her anger without letting her anger take control of her, which is what
mm,
happened to me then. And I also do is I allow her to just be and not tell her
mm,
fit into a world,
mm,
so sometimes, we're in a gathering, and, she wants to play hopscotch jump kind. I say, okay, do that. And then there will be world telling me, oh, you are 50 plus lady, what are you doing? And I just tell her, it's okay. You want to just do hopscotch, right? And then, yeah, come back to the face. So I let her be seen and be more visible and express her needs. And they were more about just being the child that she wanted to be, and not to be the shoulder where people could sob and tell their sad stories, to not be the agony aunt that she learned to be very early in life. And
mm.
yeah, and to let her sometimes know she's beautiful and she's precious.
Indeed, she is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Over the years, I have loved your creative expression, especially your work with crayons. I think it is so symbolic and it is so beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah, and I hope that you continue to do that to channel your expression.
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, because I don't know the language of that expression,
Mm,
and I just allow that to flourish. So I think that part of me is also lending a lot of strength in how I navigate life today. So, and that's what I said, right? That's a gift that came in. If I hadn't lost my dad then, if I
mm,
wasn't left to this is creative companion that grew up with me and stood strong with me, allowing to hold all that was happening and to just pour out in the form of colors and music and notes, which I couldn't comprehend, but it had a form, it had an expression. And
yeah.
it somewhere allowed for that energy to come through in a way where people related to it, or, interpreted it the way they wanted. But I had no meaning and interpretation, but it just felt good. It's out now there. So I could empty and then work through something else. So in that sense, that's the gift that came in. And that's the gift I think continues to come, in colors and ways that I'm surprised myself. So
Mm,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Um, I'm very grateful that you are such an articulate person, and you're such a reflective person who is also willing to share her journey, because I do think that a lot of us will see parts of a reflection in your story, and some will certainly get strength, and some will get insights, and that's the whole premise of these conversations. I was very struck, and I continue to be struck by we are almost similar in age, but how different our growing up experience is.
yeah,
Yeah. And therefore, I say it cautiously, acknowledging some of the privilege that I may have had.
hmm.
Um, and I'm just wondering how many young girls are there who continue to experience a certain disenfranchisement, a certain expectation, and a certain boxing 40 years hence, you
Yeah.
know? Um, so that was another thing that I just wanted to share. And I mean, I am sorry for the experience that young Sudha had, but I'm grateful for the woman she has become.
Thanks to her too. And
Yeah.
because it's true, Bhavana, that when you say we all have different experiences, like though the three of us experienced the same event, and I mean, I'm saying three is my two brothers and me, how we related to it and how we took it on, right? So there is a common, if I can use the word common wound, a common story. But each
Yeah.
of us have dealt with it so differently.
That would have been my next question, but please go on.
Yeah, and also because of the life stage that we are in and
Yeah.
all of that. So I also realized that the whole definition of family changed for us. The glue
Mm,
that probably my
mm,
father was, or I don't, I couldn't experience my family the way I wanted to. We were
mm,
independent individuals. I always
mm.
compared a family like, that was loving and, so I would look at the grass of being green on the other side and see how dry the grass is on my side, right?
Yeah.
And I think somewhere, whatever interpretation a child gives, right, that narrative sticks into the head. So I took on
That's
the role of being the fixer, the holder, somehow keep
mm,
the family because that was my need,
yeah.
right? I see that very differently with my brothers, right?
Mm,
But today, when I'm looking fast forward, it has allowed us to be, caregivers, not just for a family, but also for an extended society. People who don't have the same opportunities that we had. Like, for example, when you said privilege, even I didn't acknowledge privileges then, but I
mm.
do acknowledge that even in those trying circumstances that it may sound like, I had the privilege. I
Yeah,
had
for
the
sure.
privilege of a good education. I had the privilege of
Yeah.
my mother working. I had the privilege of my grandmother to take care of us. We were not. I had the
Yeah.
privilege of the values that got instilled that became the rod, right?
Yeah.
I had the privilege that my mother worked hard enough to put good meals on a day. Now, if I compare that to another privilege that,
Yeah.
my cousins and all, of course, I may not have had that. But if I were
Yeah.
to now compare this with a lot of people who don't even get that.
Yeah.
So for me, I think I acknowledge that I did grow up feeling as privileged as I could, but maybe didn't have the wisdom to recognize that as a
That's
privilege.
true. Yeah.
Um, you know, um, and I somewhere, now when I look back, I think there is also the privilege of a divine grace that takes care without we being aware. And we
Yeah.
are not really left to the wolves, so as to say. I can say that with a lot of surety now, Bhavna. If you had asked me this 10 years ago,
Yeah.
or maybe when I was 30, 32, I would say, I don't think, grace,
Anybody's
divine,
taking it.
it's all about you being there, you making it, and, it's all about me, 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 me. But today, if I were to say, hey, no, heck no, it's not
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. I know what
Um,
you.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yes, but the experience of it changes, and that experience of it is probably because I took birth to experience that and to work through it.
Yeah.
Um, and the fact that if I look at caregiving across, each of them had its own flavor. But today, when I'm
Yeah.
taking care of my mother, there is a lot more surrender to divine grace.
Yeah.
Not in a way of helplessness, but I look at, hey, listen, you are my companion here. Okay, come on, let's work on this together.
Yeah.
Having learned to be a caregiver as a responsibility to be worn as medals on my shoulders, to now coming at a caregiver from a heart,
Yeah.
where I'm not doing this to earn medals or to get. shiny stars or anything, but more at a human level,
Yeah.
to recognize the humanness of me and my mother.
Mm.
I've also had to draw boundaries, which means I'm not going to break my back to do all of this, which I've done before, right?
Mm.
Where it is okay for my me time to let my mother know this is my me time. I'm not going to be available. But yet, if there's an emergency, she's there, like Sudha
Yeah.
is there. Every time my mother would say, you're my mother, I would consciously say, Mama, you are my mother, I am your daughter.
Mm.
Because this whole thing about the mental, oh, you have to be now the mother to her. No, I didn't
Mm.
want to be the mother to her. I can
Mm.
bring a mother-like feeling in what I do and this, but I'm not her mother. And I think that was important for me as a boundary to know that
Mm.
the role of she plays as the mother and me
Mm.
as a daughter. And for her to remember that she is my mother and she will continue to be my mother and I'm only her daughter. And I think somewhere that also allowed her to have her own realistic benchmarks because now she continues to see me as a daughter and to say,
Yeah.
yeah, you must be also tired. You go rest, you sleep, you've not slept well. Versus I know
Yeah.
there was a period when she put me on the mantle of a mother and her
Mm.
expectations and of it was very different. The
Yeah.
clinginess, the neediness, and all of that. And I think that was important discovery for me, where
Mm.
don't change the relationship, don't label it differently.
Yeah.
Energetically, she will always be my mother. She can feel me as a mother. That's a different because I am coming from that space, but I'm not her
Mm.
mother, right?
Mm.
Role
Mm.
reversal was a first change that happened. The
Mm.
second was to let her know that she is having her own resources, even though however bad she is. And she
Yeah.
needs to get. I remember our conversation when you said, so that engage her. So bringing that game. So we brought play in our life, right?
I'm going to
Which
ask
she
you to
has,
take a pause,
huh,
Sudha,
sorry.
because for the listener, there will be a need for a little context.
Yeah.
So, why don't you spend a little time to tell the listener what is your mother's circumstance and, what kind of caregiving she needs, and then we will get to the next.
Okay. Just to step back, I think it was, 2 years ago when for the first
Mm.
time in my life, I said I want to do something for myself.
Mm.
It was till 2022. I have been with her, taking care and all. I've never lived apart from her except for a very brief while.
Mm.
In 2022, I decided to move to a community called Oroville, which is near Pondicherry, because that vision
Mm.
called me and I wanted to be part of doing something greater than this. And my mother, stayed with one of my brothers. Uh,
Mm.
it was the first time I have been away from my mom. And I think that period also became very important for me to separate from her, to develop my own, discover what I could do and things. And that was a lot of my period of my inner work. Till this year, she fell down and she had a spinal fracture and two fracture on her right hip. Now,
Mm.
it was not so bad, could be fixed with surgery,
Mm.
but it was not so good also that she could be this. So I came back from Orwell to take care of her. So which is where, so in my mind, the assessment was that if the fracture's healed, it is okay, then she can go back to my brother and I can go back to Orville or whatever that was. But
Mm.
the fracture, since it had to be healed with time, she had to be 2 months
Mm.
bed rest, which
Mm.
means complete immobility, right? And that
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
I think, the start of looking that, oh, this is a journey that's not going to have a full stop.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, that somewhere resulted in she getting a UTI infection, which is normal and common. But what we didn't realize that this UTI developed into a condition called blood sepsis, and which required her hospitalization in ICU. Now that blood sepsis impacted her lungs, which means she had to be on a oxygen support, her blood pressure, everything, name it. And that 1 week, her CRP score was way above 150, which it should be less than 10. Now that ICU changed our reality because now she needed support for her lungs. She had to be
Mm.
monitored for her blood pressure, her sugar level, because all the years of discipline that she had maintained for herself was now whacked off. And the main
Mm.
thing was she had to be now on a catheter and
Mm.
bedpan this because she was now just not in her
As
place.
mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, she's 88, wrong side of age where healing can be faster. And so, which
Yeah.
meant we needed to have a hospital-like setup at home
Mm.
because they managed to bring from 150 plus to 100, but then after that, her progress was going really very slow. And
Mm.
for us, being in that hospital was not something after 8 days, was not something we were enjoying. So we decided to bring her home and then create that hospital-like infrastructure at home where we would get the nurses, she would be on the IVs, get her injections and all of that because it was important that next 10 days we had to bring her CRP score,
Mm.
which meant literally you're 24 bar 7 on call then, because you have the
Yeah.
oxygen concentrator, which she needs to be on because that's like a life support, monitor her blood sugar levels, get these IV drops, the nurses to come in. Uh, that from June to August, she got a relapse again of blood sepsis because we were told you can now remove her catheter, but you have to be careful that if she gets once more, then catheter is for her lifetime. So she
Mandatory.
got a
Yeah.
blood sepsis again in July, which meant repeating the entire thing again.
Mm.
So till this, the navigation was largely done by me, but I think it started taking a toll because taking care of home, taking care of her, and
Mm.
everything. My brother said this is not something. So for the first time, I considered the option of having an attendant who could, at least at a physical level, take her, keep an eye on her. And it was there in conversation with you and, gotten onboarded an agency and it really helped. And it also somewhere, I don't know what changed. Mom changed in her thing. So it's, of course, she's there on the oxygen concentrator, but now we have only moved for the night time because she
Mm.
tends to breathe shallow and her SpO2 can go.
Mm.
She does have her blood sugar and blood pressure sometimes going wacky, but we do need to monitor that on an ongoing. And the biggest thing is she needs to be on the catheter, which is something that she doesn't
Mm.
like. So we configured ways and means, and that's where also where my creative ways comes in, So how do we get her to move off the bed? How do we get her to? So, this
Mm.
whole thing about toilet training, using a mobile toilet, getting her to exercise. She hates exercises. Um, but how to make exercises also a fun, And I know, so I play her to her strength. She loves a challenge and she hates to lose. So how could I leverage this into play games with the one? So we
Yeah.
play Scrabble, okay? So we don't play
Mm.
Scrabble by rules.
Mm.
So in her, okay, if I make a word, she will add an S and she will do a phonetic word and she do it. And I have to accept it. But I still accept it because
Mm.
it keeps her mind sharp right now. So rules
Yeah.
get broken out over here, and she has fun because otherwise, if I did play with her Scrabble in the way the spirit it has to be, and she would say, "I don't want to play this game," because she also has a brain
She
stroke.
won't win.
Any games that she wins, she will love to play. Okay.
Yeah,
I've
sure.
also discovered that Lady Luck flavors her. So we play snakes and ladders. Huh?
Uh,
You won't believe the first game she wins, and I'm like still struggling. I'm the one going up and down the snake. And even if she does come down at the snake, she still hits home. So I kind of tell her, you are a gambler. Let's go to Las Vegas and play the casino. I'll get a lot of money. So
yeah. Might as
uh,
well use it at the right place.
any game. So we also do sometimes, just to get her reflex up, right? We play with this
Yeah.
hand. So, as kids, we show the
Yeah.
hand, do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then she will say, no, I don't want to play. And I am this in this whole mode of coaxing her and this. And my hand is like this. And there, go bang, she does it. And I'm saying, I can never predict her that when she will do that, but that gets her to be alert. She had given up
Yeah.
reading. Now she reads, so I get books for her. So she loves to read. She had got hooked onto the
Mm.
mobile, and I kind of realized that was not working well for her because there was a point in time when, a lot of these wars and this, she started becoming very anxious and talking about it. Then I would
Yeah.
scroll the history of her phone and I would be shocked. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
she's watching all of this. So now her mobile time like a young child. I limited to 6 to 7:31 movie, which is what is put. Um, I brought tangrams, right? So again, she doesn't like the fact that she's not getting it, right? So we choose design,
Mm.
she works with it. So as long as there is challenge and there is a victory, yeah. So I
Yeah.
brought a different version of this. What is that thing?
Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, yeah. There is this a long one.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
Anu, who was an attendant, would get it. And, because she's like that. My mom didn't get it. She doesn't touch. She will play for some
Mm.
time, but because she has not been able to get once, and her thing is, how come she's getting and I'm not getting? I said,
Yeah,
Mommy,
it's a
she's sitting
competition.
with it for 4 hours. You're sitting only for 10 minutes. Doesn't work. So I kind of realized that she loves games where she feels challenged. She is in
Mm.
control and she loves the winning
Winning.
flavor. So get on to that and creating milestones, giving her something to
Mm.
look forward to.
Yeah.
I have had hilarious conversations I could never imagine. Sometimes she said, Lord Yama has come. And for me, I remember the first time when she said it, my heart skipped a bit. Oh,
Mm.
is death around the corner kind of a thing? Because I've
Mm.
been in
Mm.
instances like this. Now I've learned to play. Oh, said, oh yeah, where is he? What does he come to? What is it? And we would really build a story. And she said, he's
Yeah.
so mean. I said, but why is he mean? Oh, he came to
Mm.
my door and then he said, your time has not come, and he goes to the neighbor's place. I said, good for you,
Mm.
mom. I get to spend more time with you. And
Mm.
um, the reason I play along with that and create a story is because it makes her less anxious. Because the minute when she gets some of this, and I honestly don't know what she sees or is it her imagination is what it is, but it to just reduce the anxiety and to create fun and play out of it, because for her the
Yeah.
only thing she feels what her freedom is death.
Mm-hmm.
That freedom from all that she's going through, right?
Mm.
And I don't want her to sink into it and wobble it down. So
Yeah.
we create a
Yeah.
fun and play stories. And then sometimes I say, Mama, let me record some of these stories so that,
Mm.
this. Or playing with
Mm.
her hair. I cut her hair. So for the first
Mm.
time, I gave her this cut which make us look stylish. And I put photos, I take photos, I show her. And she said, is that me? I said, Mom, you're really looking really beautiful, and all of that.
Mm.
So I see that somewhere. I don't
Mm.
know because she's also had a very, very hard childhood, Bhavana. She grew up in an
Mm.
orphanage when she lost her dad when she was 4, and her mother put her
Mm.
as her elder sister with her. So I'm also aware
Mm.
there is a history of it in our family
Mm.
where the
Mm.
matrons run through very hard times. So I don't know sometimes whether the child in her who wanted to come alive never came to, because she also had to be responsible. And she's been like that for a whole lot of us, to a lot of my
Mm.
family. Whether this is
Mm.
more part of coming alive in those games. And she's very curious about the outside world. So sometimes we walk to the balcony. The expression on her face and her eyes, I
Mm.
don't see my mother there. I see that part of her who wanted to just probably just be and see and enjoy, and
Yeah.
who didn't have to be a caregiver herself from a very young age, who didn't know what
Mm.
to give for herself and who didn't know how to receive.
Yeah.
So she ensures that I've kept on my toes to receive well. Thanks to her, I've
Yeah.
learned cooking well, and thanks to seeing her enjoying my food, I cook, but very simple meals. But yeah, I think she's
Mm.
brought a part of me which I had kept aside, taking care of
Mm.
home, taking care of the kitchen, learning to cook, enjoying the
Mm.
process, making it a meditative process, and to see her that she enjoys. So yeah, and that's what I said. Like it is taxing, it is hectic, it gets hard, it is a lonely phase. But I also see how it gives these beautiful movements, which is caring and which is giving both ways. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the context of my mother. And this January, it will be a year. And she
Mm.
is strong in that sense. I
Mm.
don't know when is that dot going to come in, but giving her dignity, respecting her,
Mm.
leveraging in on her own will and strengths. We just
Yeah.
attended her granddaughter's marriage in Mangalore. I mean, look at it. She needs her oxygen concentrator, she needs her nebulizers, her whole apparatus. And
Mm,
to pack all of that and then do a 10-hour journey. But
mm.
Lord, she made it. No matter how hard it was for her, the journey brought a lot of things in her body. But I think that will that she made, I want to see my granddaughter's marriage, which probably is the last life event of hers. Uh, doesn't matter what all went into it, but she
Yeah,
did that.
yeah. Yeah,
That
no, kudos to her and kudos to you for not saying that, oh, it'll be too much trouble and but let's make the most of it. I was very thrilled to know when you told me that you went for the wedding.
yeah,
And I'd like for you to take a little time and look back at all the significant maybe stages, phases, types of caregiving that you've gone through to probably also acknowledge and shine the light on all those who have supported you, all those who were your caregiver sathis, so to speak.
yeah. So I mean, of course, like my own, my brothers, like my older brother supports me quite a bit, with the finances. My younger brother comes to me, talk.
Yeah.
Um, you with Caregiver Saathi, when you recommended the agency, the people, just a conversation, your resources, hospitals,
Mm,
the nurses who would take care of mom as if this, the people who have come home as attendants. And I've been in a way fortunate in the last two choices because they have gone through losses themselves and they see in her as, mom. Um, I'm grateful to all those people who support my inner work and help me to realign and redefine my own inner paradigm. Um,
mhm,
Conversations, hard-hitting conversations about, can I look at who I am beyond just a caregiver and to discover flavor and facets. So, with that, the Rhythmbra, the whole uh, programs and labs that I do. Friends whom I just wanted to kind of talk at some point in time, and where I can just say, hey, this is what's happening in my world. It may be one or two or three of them, but uh,
mm.
that they're there.
Yeah, yeah. Mm,
And
mm,
I think for me, my greatest support probably will be divine, God,
mm,
or whatever you might say is the right help has come at the right time, both
mm,
physically, mentally, emotionally. When I've not been able to take it forward, somebody would just come and say, hey, can I help you in some way?
mm,
Uh, And, my own partner who met in
mm,
Orville, he's been my rock solid support in this last few months.
mm,
Manages between Orville and here, but comes here for 2 weeks. And when I'm here, he says, hey, you sleep for some more time, I'll take care over. So just to have
mm,
somebody be there, and of course to my
mm.
own mom, because if she didn't give in to all that we
Yeah,
had to work through, because it's challenging for her. And of course she pushes and she nudges,
yeah,
but it is something, what, Bhavna, and I was thinking about it. It's just like when a child is born, you have a support system, right? You have
yeah,
mothers and nannies, and it is like a village
yeah,
that takes care. I'm reminded of the same thing at this phase of life. It is like a
mm,
village that you have.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
The doctors, the attendants in form
Yeah,
of the nurses or helpers,
yeah,
friends,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
organizations as and like-minded thinking individuals as you are in, who have gone through this and say, hey, there is this need, how best we can do, who are applying the effort and energy, not necessarily you're experiencing that or you may be experiencing, but out of one's own pain and one's own pull to say, hey, how can I make this offering to the millions out over there who need it, right? And that's like a family that comes into us, right? One is a family by blood, but one is a family because of a shared uh, ecosystem or ethos or a pain or a journey or just the sensitivity, the compassion that comes in to say, how can I extend this to all those who may be in need, and especially in cities, right? I have observed that in my, my ancestral home when I go there, family comes together to give that. But in
Yeah.
cities, it is a lot more isolated, right?
Yeah.
And there comes a confrontation of how do I balance my career and all that I am to versus I do want to take
Yeah.
care of my
Yeah.
parents. No
Yeah.
judgment over there. Physically, can I
Yeah.
be there and or not be there? To drop those judgments and to say, hey, this person needs care and a supportive ecosystem needs to be built. And to realize to say that all different people are needed to be part of taking care. It's a much bigger system than just me and my mother, right? Hospitals have to be there, good doctors have to be there, resources have to be there, diagnosis, caregiving agencies, the right kind of people, friends, and the medicines, and sometimes just healers whom you say, hey, mom's going through a hell of a phase. Can you just send prayers? Can you just send healings? And those are the visible and the invisible needs. And
Yeah.
it's like that neuron synapse which is there. And I kind of realize, yeah, this is an ecosystem, but this ecosystem is nurtured by a womb of people known, unknown, and all
I'm very
divinely
moved
or
by how you want to make sure that everybody is spoken about. How you want
yes,
to
and
make sure
true
that
because
you're not missing out on anyone. It's really it's
no,
really
because
cute.
Bhavana, honestly, I think I would not have been able to survive so long if
Yeah.
this was not there. And somewhere I've also realized just this experience of that I have all of this, not just is not a sense of just gratitude, but able to tap into them when I need, because I know the pain of not asking for help, having to feel that it's just my alone fate to do it.
Yeah.
To
That's
move from
harsh,
that
right?
to this, this is where I say, I feel like it's a privilege, it's a luxury, man. I mean,
Yeah.
how amazing it is to just have this. I think that's where the gratitude comes, and that's where when I see the movie beyond me as the character to all
Yeah.
that goes to making this movie, then
Yeah.
I say, wow, this each one is vital. Like if you
For
hadn't
sure.
given me that in August, right?
Mm.
Uh, I don't know what would have happened, right? If I go to
Mm.
think about, I don't know, the path taken would have been very different. Whereas today, this path taken is so different, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think for sure, I think that there are many players. Some are visible and some are invisible, and it's really nice to be able to step back and say and acknowledge, and not feel alone. I think you said it so well. I don't need to repeat it, which is that you know, we probably have some of the infrastructure around us, and we probably have a large number of people who want to help but don't know how. And I'm just wondering, Sudha, have you ever considered being a part of a caregiver community? And what are your thoughts about that?
I would love to. I mean, I know somewhere, you know, this is a space that needs a lot of care and
Mm,
attention. It's like it's a baby that's being birthed, given how things are changing rapidly, and people who are able to hold space and bring into it. Like, Bhavna, I've known you as an HR professional. Never then I imagined, I'm just saying, Bhavana to
yeah.
be in this space as a caregiver. Because what I knew of you of then and what I knew of you as a person, this is something I would never associate with you, not because of anything. It's just that, oh, I know Bhavna as this adventurous, bindas, go-getter, not hard, all of this. To come into this space requires what I would say is a 360-degree turn, right? And when I
180.
found,
360 would be back to the same place.
oh yeah, 180,
180.
yes. 360 at another level.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh, you
Yeah.
know,
Sorry, I interrupted
but
your thought. You
surely
were saying
something
nice things
has,
about me.
but something must have happened in your life, not just necessarily in your
Mm.
personal life, but what you saw and what you saw that
Yeah.
as a need and how you are birthing it with the same care, compassion, diligence, your skill sets, and all of that. And that's because I've had the privilege of having the conversations with you, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just random, oh, from my pain, let me do that. It's about how do I bring a certain sense of sensitivity, professionalism, which is not bad, yet not compromising on the care, the warmth, and all that is needed. This is not where, oh, I have a product and I have to sell you when you come to me. No, I'm not
Yeah.
compromising on the core ingredient, right?
Yeah.
But I've seen of agency where this has gone the other side, where
Yeah.
they just bring untrained people from tier to, monopolize their need to, for,
Yeah.
to make their finances, and they're just dipped into home, no care. And you're like, oh my God, what have I taken on, right? To navigating
Yeah.
those agencies where people come to talk to you, or where only money is matter. They don't bother how is that person that they have placed there, how is that person doing, and how is the person receiving them they're doing. It's like, I've given you a body to take care of the bodies that you need to take care of. To see the dehumanizing that happens there, Bhavna, it was like, I'd rather do away with all of this nonsense and no help than
Yeah.
take in. To
Yeah.
where we are saying, no, let's train people who need not necessarily want this as an option, but they have the attitude. They have, their heart is in the right place, right? And how don't we take advantage of them just so that this because becomes a business opportunity, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that balance is needed, and that's where I think you bring in a lot of that. And for me, having gone through, I don't know whether this is something which is probably you can say life purpose or a calling, but I do feel invested in this because caregiver just does not come necessarily at an old age. It
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
across for so many at different phases of life. Old
Yeah.
age today, our senior care is becoming, because I've seen the amount of senior care homes that have come in. My mother has
Yeah.
lived of her own volition because she felt she didn't want to be a burden to us, and or when we had to necessary, or when my grandmother had to because there were kids.
Yeah.
How those care homes take care of people. It's as if people are just there as bodies eating and waiting and okay, waiting for
Yeah.
death to come. I find that very hard.
Yeah.
I find that very, very hard to take. And uh, a lot of attention is given to every other aspect, but how do you humanize the last leg of your earthly life is so important. In
Mm.
our mothers and our grandmothers' time, because we were part of joint families or an extended families, help support was always there. But I
Yeah.
feel in today's changing world, changing times, where our
Yeah.
mothers or elderly people, because of the health, the focus on their health that they gave us, sorry, on themselves, they don't die very easily. We attract a lot more dis-ease in our body because of our lifestyles. They don't. They
Yeah.
have lived healthy
Yeah.
lifestyles. So they live longer,
Yeah.
right? I do feel this is a space that needs community, the right thinking, will, resources, people, more so because it is nourishing and nurturing to build that versus to see what's in it for me, not from that
Yeah.
perspective. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, like I said,
As you were describing the whole thing, I was wondering, I asked her a question about community. Where is she going? But I like how you came back to it, which is that yeah, there is a need for community. And I really wish that it is in the context of everything else.
yeah,
And that it is not just a community for the sake of community, but
yeah,
community in the context of everything else. I
yeah,
find that
because
lovely.
the needs over here, are very, there's so much, not just for the person who needs to be taken care of, but the person who is giving the care also, right?
Yeah,
It's
no, for sure.
it's unbelievable. I mean, I feel like, if I go back to my master's in human development, I will include one paper just on this. And somewhere I feel like, one gift is to die well, one has to live well. But do
That
I
is for sure.
know how to live well? I don't know. I am learning to, and I'm taking baby steps in that direction. But yes, it is a community, it is a collaboration, it is a coexistence of a lot of stuff, right? It's developmentally a whole universe in itself
Yeah,
where a life is being born and we know how to take care of it. But when a
yeah,
life is going out, uh,
yeah,
we don't have a manual
Yet.
yet. We don't have a manual yet. And just like we have a lot of parenting, mothers to be classes and all of that, I'm hoping we have
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah,
curriculum
absolutely. Well
classes
said.
and a community. Like like the way you say, right? Gentle warriors. A lot of these people who have gone through the experience become the resource people themselves in whatever ways and build that wisdom, you know what I mean to say?
Yeah,
A wise
absolutely.
community.
Absolutely. Our caregiver community is an invitation to all those who are undergoing their caregiving journey, and more so for those who are experienced caregivers, because you don't have to just learn, you have to also share and you have to also help others. And in helping others is when we truly realize how we are coming back 360 degrees at a different point.
I
You
love
see,
that.
it's so important to come back to the same story, to come back to the 9-year-old and to come back to the 2 year ago and whatever else, but at a different point. And in fact, most of our conversations are about being able to take some time and space in this world to look back at our journeys, but be at a different point, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the whole point of these conversations. And I'm so glad that we had this. I'm having nice goose flesh right now. And I'm loving it, feeling very, very full, very warm. Not just because I'm wearing a big muffler, but because I'm just filled with just filled
Yeah.
with so much insight and love, Sudha. I particularly like that line. In order for us to die well, we have to live well. That's definitely for sure. Anything you would like to say as closing remarks? How has this conversation been for you?
Ah, full circle.
Mhm.
Uh, and a lot of gratitude to you, Bhavana. You know, I felt in this whole journey, I think today I am sitting with a whole lot of contentment.
Mm.
Uh, Contentment for what life was, for what life is, and yet
Mhm.
open and trusting of what life will be. I'm
Yeah.
grateful that we have people like you, and I'm sure there are a lot of others, but you know, at least in my circle, who are thinking about caregiving and where it's not just caring and compassion, but it's human. It's about
Mm.
making those very voices, which probably were never seen or heard or given a certain legitimacy or a voice when they were young or growing through, but
Yeah.
to tell them, hey, here is a space where you're welcomed, you're seen with all that
Yeah.
is and with all that is not. And for that, I don't know, it's just a whole lot of gratitude and I know, like tears in a joyful way, if I can say that.
Yeah. 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 I love tears.
And
Unlike Rajesh Khanna, who said, Pushpa, I hate tears.
or like Meena Kumari, you know, the sad one.
Yeah. No, I love tears.
Or
I love
Nirupa Roy, who is always, you know, could shed tears.
tears. Tears are lovely.
Yeah, no, but yeah, you know, very grateful, Bhavna, for all the work that you do. And like, as I say, uh, any way that I can contribute.
Oh, for
Um,
sure. Or for sure. I'm going to dip into that incredible resource and that wisdom and that investment that you have, Sudha. And the starting point was this conversation. And I hope that many who listen to this conversation, it's a long conversation, but it's worth the time. It
And
was
also to let people know they are not alone there. It's very
for sure.
easy to think I'm alone on this. It's just my, you know, and the fact that you're doing it through your platform, if, you know, just to reach out to you, drop a line, drop a word.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are people whom they can speak to. I just want to let them know that you're not alone. right?
For
It's
sure.
not, does not have to be a lonely journey.
Does not have to be a lonely journey. It is unique. It is
Yeah,
personal. I say that very often.
yeah,
It is very, very different for each person, but it still doesn't have to be lonely. Uh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And with that, while we can have many, many such conversations, Sudha, and we will continue to have them for the purpose of this podcast, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Raj,
All right.
yes,
Hmm.
what like I shared, right? I wanted to know, you've been a very successful HR professional. You had it. I've known you in that avatar. Um, what I was very intrigued about your entry into this space,
Hmm.
um, what brought you in, in this? I'm sure there is a personal front, but it is not just that much to then to say, I want to make this as an offering, right? Because I do remember
Yeah.
in Bombay when I came to visit you, we had this early conversation, and that time you were just birthing with it, or maybe you had just birthed it in the name of, an organization and name and all of that. One was that, and your own journey, because this also is like a caregiver, right? It's your baby, and you're giving a caregiver, and to bring in resources and platforms and all of that. It's almost like you're becoming a mother again to something, but now
Yeah.
you're just not a, you're not just mother to this organization, to the whole lot of people who are joining hands with you, and the demands will only increase. I don't see
Yeah.
you can say this much and no more.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm happy to talk about it. And the recently in one of the podcasts I spoke about this. The my Very interestingly, during the Texas Instruments days when you and I were colleagues, I had done a Johari window exercise, and clearly my external persona was something. Everything that you describe and more. There was more adjectives like, the not just the nice words that you said, like adventurous, go-getter, and things like that, but also the toughie, the difficult person, the the nightmare, the monster, the dawn. Everything that, all of you had to contend with. Um, One of and some of these people, I love them to death. Ravi and Pallavi and Vidya, in their Johari window, they told me every she's not compassionate. She is not caring.
Ah,
And I spoke about this a little bit recently as I was reflecting on it. I was like, I was very hurt. I was like, oh my God, when I'm tough with you, I'm like the classic mother. I do it out of my love. It's my my way of caring for you, and it's my way of doing the right thing by you. But it is not just important for you to do that. It is also important for you to show it. And showing love and care and compassion can make you feel a little vulnerable. Right? Especially women can get bracketed as not so business minded and not so ambitious and not so successful. And it's a very interesting balance between being feminine and woman enough, and being ambitious and being competitive and all of that enough. And we spoke a little bit about how young girls are boxed and how young girls are treated and who I wanted to be. So um, you know my profession was giving me opportunities, and I made my own meanings of what it meant to be successful and professional and whatever. um, Long story short, I've spoken about it many times, Sudha, but I think that I hit a point in my HR career where I felt that I was doing more of the same, and it wasn't really feeding my soul, and it wasn't really feeding the purpose of my life. And I had lived a certain life. some privilege, some not so privilege. With my dad having a terminal illness when I was in my teens and my 20s, losing him, me seeing caregiving in a certain way up close and personal, I felt that was my life experience. And my dad was 54, may have been older than when your dad crossed over, but he was 54. And for me, um, I always felt I was running against time, and I wasn't sure if I would hit 54. And I felt that if I was just chasing, EMIs and paying corporate bills and climbing the ladder, when would I do what I had to do? Yeah. And so when I turned 40, I thought that,
Mm.
you know, I have to get something done before I'm 54. Who knows, right? And so I needed to shift gears. And so I decided that, and so circumstances also happened. And I happened to go on this long motorcycle ride, which was very reflective. It made me think a lot. It made me find conviction in myself. I felt that if I can take a heavy motorcycle to the Himalayas, I can probably try something unknown, uncharted, etc. So while there isn't an example of the kind of organization I wish to build, I feel it's okay. There's no road. We can still take our motorcycle there. So to me, shaping or birthing Caregiver Saathi is at the intersection of my life experience, my sense of adventure and hobbies, um, as much as my love for technology and my experience in HR and behavioral sciences. So it is at the intersection of all these lovely things, right? It is at the intersection of my interests and hobbies, my life experience, my professional experience of HR and organization development, as much as my love for technology. I would have been a coder if life didn't take a turn. If I didn't
Ah,
get into management, I would have actually been a techie. And
that's a surprise.
yeah, so this seems to bring it all together. And it was intended to be my swan song, but I have, in the last few years, grown wiser and realized that 54 is a number that was relevant for my dad, but not necessarily for me. And although it is a very important milestone for any child who loses their parents young to cross their parents' age, it's a documented psychological phenomena. And although it is a significant milestone to cross, I'd like to cross it a little differently. And I'd like to cross it just the way that you described it, which is I have been given a beautiful gift of life. Um, I'll get a little emotional. I need to live it both for myself and my dad. Yeah. You need to unmute yourself.
Sorry. I can feel your pain and I know what it is. But I'm also grateful that he left that seed in you.
Yeah, I know for sure. And, whether he did it or,
Yeah.
it was, yeah, or it was that experience or the spirit that I saw in my fierce
Yeah.
mother and my absolutely ferocious grandmother and my very gentle grandfather and, my colleagues like, Karthik, my manager at Texas Instruments, and my colleagues at Texas Instruments. And all the lovely people I met along the way that have shaped me in so many ways, right? So
Mm,
as Sir Ken Robinson says, those seeds of possibility are there in all of us. They're just
yeah.
dormant, right? Or
Yeah.
as, our favorite mentor, both you and mine, Raghu. says we need to nurture our seeds of possibility. And,
Yeah.
everybody has contributed to this, whatever is coming or unfolding. So that was one of your questions as to what's my story or why I do what I do. There was a second part to your question, which was, there was a second part. Oh, how
Um,
do I feel as a caregiver to caregiver Saathi? Yes.
yeah.
Um, Very similar. And
Yeah.
such an insightful thing. So, yes, I need a community. I need people who believe in me. I sometimes need to draw boundaries. I need to know how do I build my support system. I feel like I have never seen myself as a mother. So when I get the projections of a mother, it makes me uncomfortable. But I also know that I'm birthing this idea. So, it has all kinds of emotions around it. And just like a young mother has to navigate a bunch of things, I sometimes feel I am navigating. And it's not just birthing, right? It's like bringing up a child as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there is the conventional schooling system, but I'm putting my child through a different schooling
Unconventional.
system. And there is a risk of whether or not that will be successful, and whether or not my child will go to Harvard, or whether or not my child will be seen as successful, or whether or not my child will make enough money and be seen as worth the
Yeah.
kind of parenting that I did. So you see, the analogy is extends way beyond.
Yeah. It's beautiful how you put that because those are real life concerns, not just as a mother, but as a business person, right? And when I'm saying as a
Yeah,
business or an entrepreneur, let me not put it as a business
yeah,
person.
yeah,
And you're not just doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for so many people
yeah,
that come to be a part of it. And then you can't let it down, right? And
yeah,
the questions that you asked are so real because is this is going to be a one-time thing, or can it continue to survive and
yeah,
sustain and build a life of its own and bring people of its own, or
yeah,
even beyond?
yeah.
Um, and as you were talking, the image that came to me was that of a mother cub and a baby cub.
Mm-hmm.
That's the image that came in. And where the mother cub is, yeah, birthed it there, has enough of attention to not let it go astray, but also willing to give the freedom to see how it
Yeah,
wishes to grow to its own true potential. And I don't know why, but that image came in very strong. And
yeah.
what you shared about at work, I know you were the tough love person, because I think that resonates because I'm the tough love person. But I remember if somebody was not well, you were the
Mm.
first one to come and ask, hey, are you okay?
Mm, thank you for
And
saying
therefore
that.
for me, when you said this, it didn't put into my head, like, no, I don't have that image of Bhavna because I always remember that if somebody was not, and I'm not just saying
Yeah,
physically, but just not well,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you would be the first one to say, hey, are you okay? Or it would just be you
Mm,
walking by, put your hand, hey, things will be fine. I've always had that image of you, of course,
mm,
the tough love being, and I think that corporate career does make. So it's interesting how we see a part of ourselves and others see that part because that's the part we believe. But this part which you had, and you would probably show it when it was needed the most, but
mm.
probably didn't get captured as much, right? Like,
Oh,
so
thank you
for
for saying
me,
that.
for me, that you are not a mother is very hard. You may be the very unconventional mother. You know what I mean? You're not
Mm,
like mollycoddling and aja beta bat and not. You may be that, and
mm,
it'll be hard for me to see it. But do you have a very strong mothering instinct? That's an image I would put of you even there. Like even the way you would mentor, because we were a team that came to be with, as collaborators with us. So while of course we are two distinct entities working together, but I I saw you taking care of that, right? Of the team. It was not like, oh, this is not my team and that's not my team.
mm,
So
mm.
yeah. So for
Oh,
me,
thank
I
you for
think,
saying that. That's so lovely.
mm,
Because all these guys at that time, you remember they used to have a ringtone on their phone, and which was they used to sing like Dawn, Main Hoon Dawn for my phone. No,
yes, thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this part
Mm.
of the journey. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
no,
Maybe
absolutely.
next time I will be the interviewer and you will be the interviewee.
Please do that.
I would love to know more about this journey. It's important, and I think
Yeah.
there is a story in it that might inspire to come for a lot of people to
Mm.
be part of it.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for doing that. And I will tell you separately how many people who have been guests have also been hosts on this program. So this is not
Oh,
necessarily hosted by Bhavna only.
oh, lovely. That's nice to know.
Yeah,
Really
that's a
nice.
part of the design, actually,
Trust
because
you to
it's
do that.
because it is very important to be able to see when you hold the space for someone else as well.
No, but and that is the beautiful part of you as Bhavana. I think somewhere that's there. You know, I don't need to be a part of it, though I am a part of it. Can it
Yeah,
be
yeah,
non-Bhavana centric? And I think that is a legacy that will live long, Bhavana. It is definitely a legacy that will live long.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. With all our
beautiful.
efforts, yeah,
Lots
yeah.
of love for you.
I wish I was in the same space. Consider yourself tightly hugged, and
Thank you.
much love to your mom, and
Yes.
take care.
Yes.
And we'll connect again. I
Absolutely.
need to talk to you about your support system and everything that has been happening last few days on that count. We need to figure
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
We are doing a bunch of things, so I want to talk to you about it.
I look forward to talking to you anyways.
ठीक है. Ta-da!
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching this episode of Conversations with Gentle Warriors. Caregiving may be unseen, but it is a powerful force holding lives together. If you're a caregiver, a carer, or someone who may not have thought of themselves as a caregiver, but you are worried and concerned about someone's well being, know that you are not alone. And if you're listening as an ally, think about how you can help make caregiving more visible, valued, and supported. Let's keep celebrating the unseen strength of gentle warriors who are all around us and yet are the invisible backbone. Do like, subscribe, and share with people who might be able to relate, who might be able to find inspiration and find connection, because care is all around us and caregivers are all around us.